So earlier today, Nintendo had their partner showcase, which of course focused on third-party games coming to the Switch and Switch 2. One of those games, Requiem, has actually had a lot of focus at Nintendo events in the past, as Capcom seems to be going all in on the Switch 2 port for whatever reason. I mean, it doesn't look good on the Switch 2, I'll be honest, but regardless, it didn't surprise anybody when Nakanishi tweeted the Nintendo showcase, and as expected, Requiem got some new footage, officially revealed the Leon and Grace amiibo for the Switch 2, and one of the exclusive skins for the Requiem gun that you get with the amiibos, and a few other things. Now, for the most part, this new trailer was mostly reused footage that we've seen before. However, despite only having about 5 to 10 seconds of new footage in this trailer, there's actually some really important details revealed to us that ultimately makes things a little more interesting in terms of the plot of the game. So, as always, my name is Ruben with Nerdspace Games, and I'm here to break down yet another trailer for you guys as I give you every single important detail you might have missed in the new Resident Evil Requiem Nintendo Partner Showcase trailer. Let's jump straight into it. Starting with the line that we've heard before from a scene we've seen before, a new realization has hit me, honestly, guys. When Dempsey reports to Grace that another body has been found in this trailer, my immediate thought went to the fact that despite us seeing so many trailers talking about Grace going to Renwood Hotel to investigate a new dead body, we have yet to see this body in the trailers. I mean, we've seen their right hand and them covered by a blanket to protect the body from the rain, but that's about it, right? This is interesting because if it was someone that we didn't know and it was just a random victim, then why haven't we seen Grace examining this body yet in the trailers when arriving at Renwood Hotel? Something in the trailer later kind of gives an idea as to why Capcom hasn't shown us the body that Grace is sent to investigate, but for now, just know that there may be some importance to the actual victim at Renwood Hotel than we actually realize. In a new quick clip, we see both Gideon and Grace at Renwood Hotel. This is the first time we've seen new footage at Renwood Hotel with Grace and Gideon in the same room, as most of the scenes between them lately have been at Rhodes Hill. How do we know the scene is in Renwood Hotel and not Rhodes Hill? Well, there's a few things that confirm this. First off, in this scene right here, you can see the design of the walls and how they are a little more worn down than the design of the care center. But honestly, the biggest confirmation is Grace herself. In most of the trailers we've seen of Grace with her jacket off, she's already been kidnapped and brought to the care center. In those scenes, she's been through some sort of operation, hence the bandages that she wears when we see her in the care center. However, in this scene, she clearly hasn't been through the operation yet. So yeah, we finally got to see the scene where she gets captured and brought to Rhodes Hill by Victor Gideon. Interesting that Gideon did it himself instead of sending one of his goons, by the way. There's also two other interesting clips in this single new scene. The first is once again on Grace. This time we're looking at the liquid that appears on her left arm. So yeah, at first glance, I thought this might just be blood, but on closer examination and after brightening up the image a bit, it looks like a black ooze-like liquid instead of blood. As in the same black ooze that we see all over the Elvis infected zombies, maybe? I don't know what this means, but the fact that this ooze is on Grace there in a cutscene specifically has me intrigued. I'm assuming she was attacked by an Elvis infected zombie at Renwood Hotel, and when she killed it, it bled black ooze all over her. However, just the way it looks on her and how it perfectly hits her arm, almost like it's coming from under her sleeve, makes me think it might be coming from her somehow. Going back to another teaser we saw during the Resident Evil showcase a few weeks ago, there was a file referencing black birthmarks. I wonder if this has something to do with the liquid that we see on Grace's arm. It's also worth noting that this arm is bandaged in future events, like when Grace wakes up in the care center, so maybe it is just blood and the lighting in the scene makes it look like a black liquid. I don't know, let me know what you guys think about this scene. In terms of the other thing that we notice in this scene, we get a close-up look at Victor Gideon's hand, and adding to the whole Gideon will become a giant snake boss fight later in the game theory, his hand appears to have snake-like scales on it. Now remember, going back to the whole snake theory, he has this snake ring that we've seen him wearing in a different trailer, and the fact that the people that have played the 3-hour demo claim that he has like a snake-like tongue too, so there's a lot of things pointing to a snake boss fight with Gideon. Now there's a handful of scenes that we've already seen, but I do want to point out this one right here of the cook before moving on. His outfit looks familiar, and it's something we'll point out in a later part of this trailer, so yeah, more on him later. Another new gameplay mechanic showcased in this teaser is the fact that Grace can actually kick zombies. Now it's clearly not in the same way Leon kicks, as in you can kill enemies with your melee attacks, but like the push I mentioned in the last breakdown I did, her kicks seem to just be crowd control and not something that you should rely on to do damage to enemies. However, the most interesting part of this trailer, at least for me, is what Leon says right here after entering his car.
6 survivors of Raccoon City, all dead from the same thing.
Holy shit, does this turn things upside down for us, as it completely changes the entire investigation now, doesn't it? As it turns out, the body that Leon and Grace are sent to Renwood to examine is, in fact, a survivor of Raccoon City. On top of that, 5 other survivors of the Raccoon City incident have died in the exact same way as this one, according to what Leon says here. Like I said earlier, it's interesting that we haven't seen the face of the victim that Grace is sent to investigate in Renwood Hotel, but with Leon confirming that it is a Raccoon City survivor, it makes me think it could be someone we've seen before, even if they are a smaller and more insignificant character. On another note, it opens a door for who the other 5 victims are. There's surprisingly a ton of Raccoon City survivors, despite what RE2 and some files in future games might lead you to believe. I mean, just between the main protagonists that survived, you have at least 4 in RE2, 2 in RE3, and Outbreak has like 8 survivors. However, it does throw a red flag out there that might make some of us nervous about previous characters of the franchise that we haven't seen in a while. People like Carlos, or someone I've mentioned in a previous breakdown video of mine, Claire Redfield, could be in trouble. Now, based on Leon being infected and the whole fact that he mentions all 6 of them died in the same way, perhaps the survivors of Raccoon City didn't leave completely unscathed, but were in fact infected with a new strand. Like maybe the Elpis virus. I don't know, I'm really interested in this whole new plot point introduced in this scene, especially since it's a great way to tie in other characters into the story in a big way. Also, clearly survivors of the Raccoon City incident are being targeted, potentially explaining why Alyssa was killed 8 years prior to this point. On that note, I don't think she's being included in the 6 Raccoon City survivors death count, as 1, she died 8 years prior, and 2, it seems like Leon is referencing the fact that a virus killed each one of them, which as far as we know, Alyssa was killed by a person, not a virus. Speaking of which, I will be doing a separate video on this very topic, talking about all the survivors of the Raccoon City outbreak that we know about and which ones, if any, are most likely to be the 6 victims that Leon references in this scene. So yeah, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay up to date with my videos on Resident Evil Requiem. Moving on, we see a new parry by Leon as he parries an IV stand, which again makes me really excited about Leon's action horror focused gameplay elements, as it screams Resident Evil 4 remake. However, another really interesting new scene, and potentially the most interesting one in the trailer outside of the Raccoon City survivors being targeted scene, is this one of Leon on top of a balcony sniping zombies down below. Like, holy hell, there is a lot of information in this one scene, and I've spent hours scoping, pun intended, the hell out of this scene to find every single hidden detail here. First off, the most obvious detail is that Leon is using a bolt action sniper to take out some of the enemies. As someone that absolutely knows nothing about guns, I'll leave that to Starlight or some of the other creators out there to point out some interesting details about this gun, because I'm not even gonna try. Not a huge fan of the scope though, but honestly, not something that really makes or breaks anything for me. Moving on though, clearly this entire scene is on fire, and if you look at the source of the fire, it looks like a chopper crash landed here. Yeah, when brightening up the image, you can see the tail of the chopper and the propellers. So yeah, clearly a chopper was just shot down by someone in this scene. More on why and who shot it down in a second. The next thing I want to focus on is the location of the scene. At first glance, I was like, oh my god, is this like the Arklay Mountains? Is this somewhere in the Arklay Mountains? But on closer examination, it looks like some sort of graveyard or cemetery connected to the care center. Moving around the scene, you can see tombstones and structures that scream cemetery. And for why I think we're still at the care center in this scene, other than the fact that I doubt Capcom will only use a 3-second scene to show us Raccoon City for the first time, it's the outfits that the zombies are wearing. If we were somewhere in Raccoon City or just outside of it, I feel like we'd see more apocalyptic attire on the zombies instead of these somewhat clean uniforms. Yeah, this screams Rhodes Hill Care Center, which we know is located in Arklay County anyway, which could explain all the different trees in the area that we're seeing. Also, remember when I said to remember that cook that we were looking at earlier? Well, I could be wrong, but this shot of a zombie in the field kind of looks like the cook zombie that we ran into as Grace in the kitchen. He has the white shirt and even has the black apron from what I'm seeing here. I'm guessing Grace can't kill him, which ultimately leads to him running into this field later. Speaking of Grace, let's talk about what's happening in this scene. As I said earlier, Leon is sniping enemies from a balcony, but why? Clearly the zombies are not coming after him, but rather they are running away from him and towards something else. Well, if you zoom in over to the right hand side of the scene, we see someone that looks like Grace. You can see that she has a similar outfit to what we've seen her in throughout her time in the care center. So here's my prediction of what's happening here. At one point, Grace finally escapes to the exterior part of the care center. Leon calls for an evac to take her out of here, and this chopper arrives to pick her up. As she's heading to the spot outside to meet up with the chopper, someone, probably under Gideon's orders, shoots down the chopper and it crashes in this graveyard section just outside of the care center. Because of the blast, all the zombies in the area are attracted to this location, and Grace needs to make her way to the care center again while Leon provides support fire until Grace escapes. Essentially, this looks like an escort mission where Leon protects Grace until she's back inside. It would be kind of cool if we can switch between both of them during this section, using Grace to dodge the enemies on the ground while having Leon snipe them as she makes her way across. But that's pretty much every detail that we've seen in this new Resident Evil Requiem trailer. Everything else has been reused footage from previous trailers. We did get our first look at the Grace and Leon amiibos, plus one of the skins for the Requiem that comes with them, but I don't think that's anything I need to break down, honestly, guys. Regardless, I'm going to do a separate video on the massive bombshell that Leon dropped on us earlier in this trailer. The whole Raccoon City Survivors being targeted and dying of the same thing has me extremely intrigued, mostly around the topic of who are these victims and are they people we know. So again, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon, as I'll be talking about that very topic in the next few days or so. But thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of Nerd Space Games. Take care.